Good day, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So this is our last meeting before we do kind of UTS, midterm test. And after the midterm test, you will be with Miss Dian Fitri. So it could be my last class with you. Therefore, in this case, in this today's occasion, I would like to do kind of review and also assessment point. Oh, sorry about this misspelling. It should be ASSESMENT. There is a double M in that title. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so my very first review is about your tasks on week 4. Here is I took one of the example of one of the students' work. So the topic is about colonialism in Wordsworth, the French Revolution, and the research question is about how is the historical approach of Wordsworth's poem, The French Revolution. How is the historical approach? Yes, and then the thesis statement, the historical approach of Wordsworth's poem, The French Revolution through extrinsic element. And my comment here is that your sentence does not have any verb. So you have to add some kind of verb here. For example, the historical approach of Wordsworth's poem, The French Revolution, is seen through extrinsic element. Terlihat di elemen ekstrinsiknya di formalistic approach. So it means that you still have to add another verb, ya. Are you kind of still confused about how to conduct a good sentence? We know that sentence consists of subject and verb, right? But that's as simple as that. But it doesn't mean that one of the long words atau phrases like this can be called as a sentence. Jadi walaupun coba perhatikan di thesis statement-nya itu, walaupun sepertinya itu sudah panjang begitu ya, tetapi ternyata itu masih frasa, belum kalimat. Coba kalian pakai mungkin jembatan keledai seperti untuk menanyakan subjek biasanya kita pakai siapa atau apa ya. Siapa? Okay, in this case itu apa? The historical approach, right? Apanya? Of the Wordsworth poem. Jadi the historical approach of Wordsworth poem, The French Revolution, itu adalah subjeknya. Sepanjang itu baru subjek. Kemudian ngapain? Nah, ngapainnya itu belum terjawab di situ karena saya bilang tadi belum ada verbnya. Ngapain? Terlihat. Oke, jadi kita tambahkan is seen. Kemudian lewat apa? Nah, lewat apa ini keterangan cara through extrinsic element. So it means that in this sentence there is no object. Jadi ini di sini kekurangannya verb. Nah, ini fatal sekali karena kita menunjukkan thesis statement. You have to have a full sentence, a full good sentence, and academic sentence. And then my other comment is about topic and thesis statement do not relate. Iya, jadi tadi topiknya talking about colonialism, right? In this poem, the title The French Revolution. However, you talk in your research, in your thesis statement, talk about historical approach. Nah, my suggestion is that try to find the theory related to colonialism. There are lots of branches of theory in colonialism, and then yes, your approach will be historical approach. Yeah, right. Next one is about I also found in your work that you only state about your assumption rather than thesis statement. I know that it is kind of synonym. Jadi sebenarnya thesis statement sama assumption itu hal yang sama sebenarnya. Hanya saja assumption means that you don't have any supporting theory. Kalian tuh hanya asal ngomong aja. Asal berbicara karena berdasarkan feeling, right? But then if you have thesis statement, it means, although it is starting from your feeling, but then you have to prove it with theory. Jadi kalau ada kalimat seperti ini, there are lots of positive social criticism in this song, especially among teenagers. They think this is a motivational song for someone who is bullied. And this song seems to emphasize ignoring all the teasing and criticism and follow them into the future. Nah, ini one of the example of assumption. How can you say so? In undergraduate thesis, your every sentence should be supported by another author. Jadi kalau kalian itu berbicara, bahkan berbicara yang very popular statement, like tadi kalau kemarin saya mengatakan ada yang pakai novel, misalnya novel drama, kemudian kenapa si pemain pemeran utamanya itu sangat cinta sekali dengan karakter cowoknya misalnya. Karena karakter cowok itu sangat misterius, jadi akhirnya si ceweknya itu merasa tertantang untuk mengetahui karakteristik lebih dalam si cowoknya itu. Nah, kalau itu tidak disupport oleh tulisan orang lain atau oleh jurnal yang lain, itu sama saja seperti assumption. I know that it is difficult to us to find another journal, tapi yang pasti kita harus tetap nyari jurnal yang lain untuk mensupport kalimat kita. Jangan sampai kita itu berbicara dengan kalimat kita sendiri. Memang itu kelemahan, bukan kelemahan ya, itu memang sudah aturan main ketika kita menulis di undergraduate thesis. Ya namanya juga masih undergraduate ya. Kita tuh S1 tuh masih bahasa Inggrisnya tuh undergraduate. Baru nanti kalau S2 namanya graduate. Baru nanti kalau S3 postgraduate, something like that. So, always try to find a support from other authors and from other journals and from other books. That is very important. So it means like, yeah, a good academic writing, especially undergraduate thesis, will always find support for other authors or journals. Avoid plagiarism. Last night, I checked about 22 students, and then I read every sentence of your talks, and then it turns out that I find out about plagiarism. You only copy and paste and without acknowledging the authors, and also even if you acknowledging the author, but then you still copy and paste. It is part of the in the name of education, you just violating the moral values of education because you do plagiarism, right? Your draft or written form reflects the way of your spoken form. It means that I know you, although it is not personally, but I know you in general. Somehow I know that one student can speak well, the other student can speak so, but it means that your spoken form actually reflects the way you write. It means that I can have my thesis statement that actually your writing ability is not that kind of advanced in compared with other international author, for example. Jadi because you're still learning, and I do so. I read some of your sentences are still copy and paste from other works. Jadi sangat disayangkan, saya merasa sedih juga ya. Saya jadinya baper ini ketika membaca tugas kalian, kemudian hasilnya itu hanya copy and paste dari Wikipedia, dari another journal. Nemu jurnalnya saja sudah bagus, tetapi kenapa hanya langsung copy and paste? Di intermediate writing, I knew that you still probably remember that there are 7 ways to paraphrase, right? Please do paraphrase. Jadi ketika sudah menemukan jurnal yang bagus, jangan langsung copy and paste, but you have to paraphrase. With your own sentence, there are 7 ways. You can go back to intermediate writing and check how to paraphrase a sentence or a paragraph even, and then you have to apply it in academic writing. Jadinya semua level writing itu ada step-stepnya, dari basic writing, dari intermediate writing, and now academic writing, right? As a foreign speaker and learner, we can't have perfect and natural grammar, especially in written form. Jadi saya tadi ada membaca benar-benar tulisannya itu tanpa celah ya. Saya mengharapkannya seperti itu, tapi tanpa celahnya itu too natural. Jadi apa ya? Ya later on, kalau kalian serius belajar bahasa Inggris, you will find out how awkward is it to see or to read non-native speaker, non-native writer write an English statement. And then just what I said in the previous slide, that how to avoid plagiarism, please do paraphrasing. Jadi tadi beberapa tulisan sebenarnya sudah mengcopy and paste dari tulisan jurnal yang lain. Kenapa saya bisa tahu? Saya hanya copy sentence kalian, 1 atau 2 sentence saja, kemudian saya Google. And it turns out that your sentences are exactly the same like the previous journal, are exactly the same like in what have said in Wikipedia. So I think that it is kind of shame for you to do that. You're a student, you're an academic student in a formal institution, right? So please do paraphrasing. Kalau kalian masih maksudnya lupa untuk bagaimana cara paraphrasing, please go back to intermediate writing. Buka-buka catatan kalian, buka-buka modulnya, buka-buka slide yang pernah saya sampaikan. Di situ ada 7 cara ya, ada mengganti sinonim, menggunakan sinonim, ada menggunakan mengganti noun menjadi verb menjadi noun, dan etc. So, and then also do acknowledge the author by doing quotation. Dari 22 mahasiswa, saya hanya menemukan 2 atau 3 mahasiswa yang sudah melakukan acknowledgement, yang sudah melakukan quotation menggunakan APA style, MLA, and also etc. Ini juga sudah saya pernah bahas di intermediate writing. But then you have never learned, I think, most of you. So you just copy and paste without telling me who is the author before, and you just claim that the sentence is yours, and it is kind of a shame. Sekali lagi ya, it is kind of a shame. Jadi sangat memalukan sekali kalau kalian hanya copy paste dan tidak semacam meminta izin kepada author sebelumnya, bahkan tidak menampilkan nama mereka di quotation. Nah, actually in this 6th meeting, I would like to give you some kind of information about how I always give you assessment. Jadi bagaimana saya menilai tulisan kalian sepanjang kita belajar academic writing dari meeting kedua sampai meeting ke-6 ini. I would like to divide it into 3 parts of assessment. The first one is the grammar. The second one is a writing technique, and then the third one is the use of artificial intelligence. Okay, starting from grammar, yeah, of course, in academic writing, I will always check your grammar. Sebenarnya di academic writing itu, beberapa hal grammar yang selalu dipakai adalah yang saya kumpulkan, sebanyak 6 jenis. Yang pertama adalah subject-verb agreement. Ya, tadi kan saya di awal sudah ada review beberapa kalimat itu sebenarnya bukan kalimat. Kelihatannya panjang, tetapi kurang verb-nya. Kalau kurang verb-nya itu kan sebenarnya itu sangat fatal ya, karena ya verb itu memang main element in subject-verb agreement. Kalau objek saja masih optional, ada yang kata kerja yang memang tidak membutuhkan objek. Subjek apalagi, it is a must. Jadi subject-verb agreement-nya itu harus jalan. Jadi saya selalu mengecek bagaimana kalian itu merumuskan suatu kalimat. Sudah ada subject-verb-nya nggak? Itu yang penting. Kemudian, the use of conjunction. Kalimat yang panjang dengan beberapa verb, dengan beberapa subjek, itu juga memerlukan yang namanya conjunction. Ada beberapa jenis conjunction, saya juga pernah sampaikan ini di intermediate writing, right? Ada subordinate conjunction, ada coordinate conjunction. Nah, you can go back to your notes. And then the use of verb ing. Di setiap kalimat panjang itu juga nanti ada verb ing. Nah, verb ing di sini apakah dia itu kata kerja, apakah dia itu menjadi kata sifat, apakah dia itu menjadi kata benda. You have to You have to be careful to check your own sentences later on. And the use of passive voice. Apa sih guna kita menggunakan passive voice gitu ya? The use of past participle. Past participle ini sama seperti verb ing. Di situ penggunaannya apakah dia itu sebagai main verb atau hanya sebagai second verb yang untuk mengalah karena dia sudah ada main verbnya di kalimat di klausa sebelumnya, for example. The use of tenses, of course, in academic writing, actually there are most tenses that are used. The first one is simple present, the second one is present perfect, and the third one is simple past. Sorry, simple past. Why is it simple past? Because when you want to tell about methodology later on, you will use simple pasts. Okay, and then the second one is a writing technique. The writing technique here is the first thing first to do is the use of academic terminology, your diction. Jadi later on you cannot say, in here I would like to say, rather than you can say, the author wants to conduct a research, for example. The use of paraphrasing. This is important. After I found out that you're still doing copy and paste, and it means that it is part of the plagiarism, so you do not do paraphrasing. So I will always check your paraphrasing system, yeah. And then the use of basic outline. Basic outline means your the kerangka berpikirnya. Jadi outline untuk kalian tetap stay focused. Later on, if you want to write your undergraduate thesis, like about 80 pages, for example, 80 halaman, itu kalian nggak akan mikir kemana-mana kalau outline-nya sudah benar. Jadi kalian tuh mau bikin analisisnya seperti apa, nanti paragraf pertama outline-nya seperti ini, paragraf kedua seperti ini, sudah akan dipikirkan. And then also the use of quotation system, whether using APA, MLA, and etc. It means that you acknowledge the authors by using their quotation. Jadi it is not enough when you state a statement in the middle of your paragraph, kemudian sudah menyebutkan nama penulisnya tapi tidak tapi tidak melakukan quotation system juga. Itu juga harus lengkap. Ini sepertinya sudah saya jelaskan juga di intermediate writing. Untungnya sebelum pandemic ya. Sebenarnya kalau di academic writing ini saya pengennya ya tetap face to face, and then I will write it in the whiteboard, and then I will show you how to make a good quotation and how to make a good paraphrasing. And then the last one is, I know that some of you probably always use kind of Google Translate. If you are quite rich enough, probably you can use Grammarly in a premium Grammarly. Jadi mungkin bisa pay Grammarly, and then you can check your Grammarly automatically. The Grammarly artificial intelligence will correct your grammar error. And then also you must use kind of Google Translate, because somehow you have no idea what is the meaning of this word, and then you just simply Google Translate it. I will not abandon you to use this kind of artificial intelligence, but then use it wisely. Google Translate itu ketika kalian menggunakan Google Translate akan ketahuan ketika bahasa Indonesia kalian itu juga cara penulisannya kurang bagus. Kalau bahasa Indonesia kalian itu sudah bagus, sistem subject verb agreement-nya sudah bagus di bahasa Indonesia, di Google Translate pun tidak akan terlihat kaku. Kemudian grammarnya juga. Ketika kalian ini sudah menggunakan Google Translate secara bijak ya, misalnya, dengan pertimbangan bahasa Indonesia kalian sudah bagus, kemudian kalian apply your sentence in bahasa Indonesia through Google Translate, and then voila, it will show the English version of your sentences. Kemudian kalian akan recheck lagi, is there any grammar error, is there any context that is not what you mean. Jadi kalian tuh harus berpikir ulang, jangan langsung asal copy and paste bahasa Indonesianya, kemudian paste English versionnya, which is not good, because I know somehow you probably only depend on the machine, but then you will not learn anything, yeah. The same like when you use Grammarly. So, but then it means that I acknowledge the way you use this Grammarly and Google Translate. Jadi tidak dilarang, tetapi gunakan dengan bijak. Saya juga nanti akan bisa semacam melihat ya, mengecek juga kalian tuh menggunakan Grammarly atau Google Translate itu benar apa enggak, atau kalian tuh hanya menipu diri sendiri langsung enak aja menggunakan these two artificial intelligence. Okay, that's all for today, I think. So please use this kind of assessment, rubric of assessment to be your to be your source how to write well. Jadi dengan saya memperlihatkan atau menunjukkan rubrik penilaian ini, saya harap kalian juga bisa belajar bagaimana cara menulis dan bagaimana cara mempertimbangkan bahwa tadi ketika saya menulis, saya harus menggunakan subject verb agreement, saya harus menggunakan conjunction dengan bijak, dengan baik, dengan benar, saya harus menggunakan verb ing, passive voice, past participle, dan juga tenses. Kemudian juga tadi saya juga harus menggunakan diksi yang ilmiah, kemudian paraphrasing, and then kerangka berpikir, dan juga penggunaan APA atau MLA. Kemudian juga ketika saya menggunakan Google Translate atau Grammarly harus dengan bijak. So, thank you for listening to me, and then good luck with the next UTS. I will show you the UTS case later on, in WhatsApp group. So, bye-bye.